Am I the a-hole for siding with my husband and not with my kids? Okay, I know the title sounds bad, but for some context, I 36 female, have twins with my ex, 42 male, Olivia and Enzo, who are now 16 years old. My ex is one heck of an a-hole. We ended our relationship because he had cheated on me while I was pregnant, and not happy with that. He never paid child support and was absent from their lives most of the time, only coming back once or twice during the year to play the fun dad. But, well, of course, his absence affected my kids a lot. Anyway, when Olivia and Enzo were a year old, I reconnected with an ex from high school, Ian, 36 male, and we started dating. The main reason we had broken up was that I wanted kids in the future and he wasn't sure. And since 2 seemed more than enough for me, that problem was out of the way. Ian wasn't involved at first with the twins, but after we moved in together over 2 years later, he began to help me with them without me having to ask, which I was really grateful for, and they eventually formed a bond. We got married, and Olivia and Enzo called Ian Dad for as long as I can remember, although they always knew he wasn't their biological father. Ian and I make the same amount of money, and we live in a house I inherited from my father. Ian only earns a bit less than me. There's not a big difference. With time, my ex went from showing up once or twice a year to not showing up at all for a couple of years, which is when their bond became even stronger. Ian told me he wanted to adopt them because he saw them as his own kids, and he truly felt like their father. However, that never actually happened because it was a legal mess in our country we didn't want to get into. Now, last year and out of the blue, my ex showed up again, claiming to be a different man now and wanting to rekindle their relationship. They fell for his act, despite Ian and me warning them about not trusting him completely, which is okay, I guess. They have a right to want a relationship with him. The problem started when they began to ignore Ian. It's like they were treating him like a replacement they no longer needed. And of course, my husband noticed this. One night, it escalated because they were having a really dumb fight. That started because Enzo had not cleaned the kitchen after cooking. We have this important rule in the house that pretty much means that each person is responsible for cleaning their own mess. Ian just went inside their room to tell him he needed to clean, and Enzo began to yell at him. Olivia joined in, and they were telling him how exhausted they were about Ian treating them as if he were their real father, that they had a father, and he shouldn't act like one just because he didn't have kids of his own. I remember Ian just left the house that night without saying a word, and I told Olivia and Enzo they had made the wrong choice treating Ian like this. And when their real dad leaves again, I didn't want to see them crawling back to the one who actually took care of them and was always there. Ian came back the next day, and he was incredibly upset. I did my best to comfort him, and he told me he felt disrespected and that there was no coming back from this. It was hard to hear, but I told him that if he no longer wanted to be involved in the twins' lives, I wouldn't be angry at him. He cried a lot that night and cried himself to sleep during the next few days. It was awful to see him like this, and I couldn't do anything but try to comfort him. I tried to talk to my kids to tell them they really needed to apologize, but they refused completely, saying they had a dad and didn't need him. It made me question what kind of kids I raised. As predicted, from one day to the next, their biological dad left the city and never called Olivia or Enzo again. When they realized what had happened, they were devastated. I was there for them, but it shocked me how they wanted to pretend everything was okay between them and Ian, calling him dad again. Ian simply told them he was not their dad and would clearly never be. This has been going on for a while. They were thinking Ian would change his mind eventually and forgive them, but that has not happened. As a last card, they came to me and told me to speak to Ian, and I told them we had talked many times, and it was clear Ian would no longer be involved in their lives, which is what they wanted anyway. So I don't know what the problem was. They were shocked by my response and kept trying to convince me, but I made it clear that my husband is human with feelings, not a wallet and a replacement for the pathetic man they like to call real dad, and that if they thought they could disrespect people who care for them without any consequences, then they were very, very wrong. I told them there was no going back from this, that things would not be the same, and they had themselves to blame for that. They shouldn't have taken for granted a person who was always there for them. They went crying to my mom after that, and she told me she understood why I was upset with them, but couldn't side with my husband in this. that they are kids who made a mistake and deserve a second chance, and I should try to solve things. And to be honest, I don't think I can. I love my kids and they will always be my priority, and this has not changed my love for them. But I also love my husband, and he's such a great man who stepped up when he didn't have an obligation and was such a support for me and for the kids. He was the father they never had for so long, and even if I try, I don't think I'm even close to knowing the amount of pain that can be caused by having the kids you raised as your own for years tell you you're not their real dad and treat you as literal trash. As much as I want them to make up, I know my husband is so hurt, and they caused that. Over what? A man they had seen barely 7 times in their whole life? Ian is now convinced that Enzo and Olivia don't love him and only saw him as a replacement, and he thinks that if their real dad ever shows up again, they would treat him like crap again. And well, although I don't think my kids would do that, I know he has every right to feel that way. If Ian no longer feels comfortable being involved in my kids' lives, then I don't think I can contradict him. They just broke the relationship. Ian is usually a pretty reasonable man, and he has thought a lot about this, so I know that he's sure about his choice. I know he has been crushed by this, and now he wants us to have a kid, but I have told him no, because I believe he just wants to replace Olivia and Enzo. Despite respecting my husband's decision, I don't want my kids to lose the man they've seen as their father ever since they can remember. I know it's going to crush them, and it will affect them even more in the future. And sometimes I wonder if I should listen to my mom and try to talk Ian into trying to repair their relationship. But I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I feel like y'all, you and your husband, are forgetting these are children. You're being super immature. Children learn things on their own. Yes, they were wrong for how they treated Ian, but they're kids. You're acting like they're in their 30s and man's this decision. Their frontal lobes aren't even fully formed. Parenting is supposed to be about unconditional love and support. Instead of rejecting them to teach them a lesson, why don't you act like the adult in the room and have a conversation with them like people and explaining your side so they can also explain theirs? You're the a-hole because you're an adult. They're 16 years old, only 2 weeks away from turning 17. Treating this as some dumb mistake kids do surely won't be a mistake I make. What they did was terrible, and they still haven't actually tried to mend things, haven't even apologized yet. With the logic of teenagers do dumb things, you cannot justify much, and this definitely isn't one of those things. Wow, your ex and Ian are all a-holes here. Those poor kids. They are teenagers, going through very complex and tough situation with bio dad, and the only adults they can rely on both abandon them. You're the adults and you're acting like petty little toddlers. My God, yes, 100%, you're the a-hole. I'm not abandoning them. I just won't let them treat my husband as a replacement. They had a dad their whole lives who loved them and took care of them. They just chose to treat him like crap because their deadbeat, real dad showed up after nearly 10 years. I raised them better than to bite the hand of the person who was always there. I still have obligations with them, and I will until the day I die, but I won't treat 2 people who are about to turn 17 like toddlers who made a dumb mistake when they knew pretty well what they were doing and that they were hurting Ian. They just didn't care. Ian doesn't have an obligation anymore with them. As much as it hurts them, it was their choice and only theirs. There's no way you should ask Ian to accept them back as his children. They need to grovel to him and have a deep and meaningful conversation about why they did it. In other words, they need to accept that what they did was wrong and share their understanding about it with Ian. Then Ian can decide what he wants to do. Family counseling may be helpful in doing this, but until the kids apologize, I wouldn't go there if I were Ian. Apologies first, not the a-hole. I have talked to him about that possibility of counseling, but he rejected immediately. However, he has said he would start individual therapy soon to deal with everything. Now, I will soon speak to the twins about them starting therapy, and I will see if I can convince them or not. Next story. Am I the a-hole for adopting a dog after I thought my boyfriend broke up with me? My boyfriend was going through a tough time, and he said he needed a break. He said he was going to press pause on our relationship and go visit his family in Washington State. I asked how you pause a relationship, because I don't understand how that works. He said he needed some time to work on himself and asked me to respect that. After he left, I reached out to him a few times via text, asking him to let me know he arrived safely and to say hi to his mom for me. I received no response. I tried to call and left a message asking if he had broken up with me. I came to the conclusion that he'd ghosted me, and my friends agreed. I was bummed, and my best friend recommended I find something like a new hobby or a new show to watch that wouldn't make me think of my boyfriend. I decided to get a dog. My boyfriend is horribly allergic to pet dander, so I never even considered getting a pet. However, since he broke up with me, I decided to get one. He's a senior dog from the shelter that needed rescuing. He's low energy and likes to lay with his head in my lap while I read, work, or watch TV. After 6 weeks away, my boyfriend texted me that he was back and coming over tomorrow, which was yesterday, so we could talk. I was shocked and texted him back asking what he was talking about. He said he was back and ready to unpause our relationship. He said he would talk to me about everything the next day. I texted back asking what relationship. He didn't answer. Yesterday he showed up and told me he had done a lot of self-examination and was ready to move forward on his life path. He even wanted to talk about moving in together. Then he saw my dog and started freaking out. He asked me how I could get a dog when I know how sick he gets. I told him that since he broke up with me, I didn't think it mattered. He said he didn't break up with me. I said he ghosted me. He said he communicated with me, telling me he was pressing pause and visiting family. I said not answering texts is ghosting. We argued in circles, and then he said he had to leave because he was getting an allergic reaction, even though he was standing in the doorway, not inside. I feel like he broke up with me, and it was okay that I got a dog. He says that he never did, and therefore it's a horrible act of disregard to have gotten a dog. Which of us is right? My best friend said I should break up with him because he's a jerk. I don't think I should have to break up with someone that already broke up with me. If I break up with him, I'm basically agreeing with him that he didn't break up with me, and therefore I was an a-hole for getting the dog, right? Which of us is right? Do the semantics actually matter? 6 weeks of no contact, and he just decides to magically show up again, and he thinks you should have unpaused your life just because he said so? Block him and move on. He does not have any right to disappear without communication, reappear as if nothing happened, and expect you to be okay with it. I'm willing to bet good money that if you accept this behavior once, it will become reoccurring for the rest of your relationship and life. Nobody has time for that nonsense, not the a-hole. Exactly. Relationships don't work on one person's timelines. You can't hit pause, vanish for 6 weeks, then act shocked that life moved on. She got clarity and a dog. He can keep his nonsense. You can hit pause if both people agree to it. Relationships don't involve unilateral decision-making, but breaking up does. He has a right to press pause. You have a right to press stop. Who cares who broke up with who? You are over. It's that simple. Also, he didn't live with you. You don't owe him not having a pet. 6 weeks is also a very long time. Either he was cheating or in rehab of some form. A normal break from life is a few days, maybe a week. And you still answer your partner. 6 weeks of zero answers is ghosting. I care. I didn't want to break up with him, but he cut me off. And to me that signifies not being in a relationship anymore. But if he's saying he didn't break up with me and I have to break up with him, it feels like he's forcing me to do his dirty work. It's like my boss saying, I'm not firing you because I don't want to pay unemployment, so you have to quit. You can't do that. It isn't fair. Last story. Am I the a-hole? Didn't invite my best friend's kids to our annual beach trip because they, the parents, never clean up after themselves. And have 2 kids that kind of ruin the whole vibe. Now half of the other friends that did get an invite are mad at me. It's my family's beach house. My parents have a beach house in Florida, and for the past 5 to 6 years, I've invited my best friends for a week every summer. It's completely free for them, except for splitting food for the house. We take turns going to the grocery store. Only one of my friends has kids, but I've invited his whole family every year in the past, so his wife and kids don't have to be left out. Well, each year they don't clean up after themselves. They don't put their dishes away after they eat. They are the only ones that track sand in the house. They don't help clean up their rooms or do laundry before they leave. They always have an excuse about why they have to get on the road early in the morning. And when it's their turn to go to the grocery store, they buy the cheapest stuff possible, like store-brand hot dogs and chips. Keep in mind, there are 4 of them, and they are gladly eating everyone else's food the rest of the week. They let their kids run absolutely wild through the house, and Cheetos and Cheerios are friggin' everywhere, like in the cracks of the sofas and chairs, in the bed sheets. It's a friggin' mess. Last year, the kids sprayed the hose on all of our cars, and it left water spots that still haven't come off. The wife also kind of ruins the whole vibe because she makes us wait to go do things, saying things like, "Oh, I just put the kids down for a nap. Can you all wait 1 to 2 hours to go out so I can join?" I've slowly but surely gotten sick of it, but a year goes by and I forget how mad I was each time I re-invite everyone. But this year, I texted my friend and told him, "Hey, thinking it will be a husband and wife thing this year if you all need a break from the kids." Was kind of hoping his wife wouldn't be able to make it either, honestly. When he's by himself, he is way better in all ways. All my other friends and their wives that get an invite help me clean up. They put their dishes away after they eat, they help strip the beds and do laundry before they leave. They also help clean up after this guy's kids before they leave. They are all super appreciative and make me feel like I'd easily invite them again without hesitation. The problem is that, now this dude's wife has been side-texting the other friend saying, "I can't afford a nanny for a week and my parents are sick, and we don't trust his parents. Guess we just aren't going this year." Now half of my friends are still on my side saying, "Yeah, this will be more fun for everyone," while the other half is trying to convince me to let the kids come, saying, "Oh man, that's just how they are. They don't expect us to clean up when we go out on their boat or visit them. We'll help clean up again." I'm sticking to my guns for now. Am I being an a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, though I would have been upfront about why. They're the parents. Their kids aren't your responsibility. Their kids' mess isn't your responsibility. The parents should be teaching their kids to be good guests. Or I would have even lied a bit better and say your family wants it to be a child-free vacation spot and that's that. Thanks. Good idea on the "my family wants it to be child-free vacation spot." I unfortunately wasn't smart enough at the time to say that. Not the a-hole. And to all the friends who are angling for the kids to be invited, tell them they are more than welcome to stay home too, visit the others and go out on their boat. That's honestly how I'm feeling right now. I now also kinda want those wives to also stay home. It's not my guy friends causing the drama, it's the wives.